Bear with me, Aaron and I are two peas in a pod today. Welcome to 2013. I don't know where 2012 went, but 2013 is here, so surprise. The first Sunday of this year happens to actually be Epiphany, which doesn't always happen. Epiphany Sunday is usually the Sunday right before Epiphany happens. It doesn't always land on the exact day. And I always happen to know the exact day of Epiphany because it was supposed to be my birthday. But I held out for a week, so my mom was really happy about that. Epiphany is the day, as Michael said, that we celebrate the wise guys arriving. These men, we don't know how many, though we know there were 3 gifts, came, and as Michael said, they brought precious gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And these gifts were intended to honor the young king that they came to see. These men had traveled from a very far away place on probably incredibly uncomfortable animals, because they believed Jesus was precious. I want to tell you a story. When China became a communist country, the Christian missionaries who were residing there were told that they had to leave. The Chinese government told the missionaries that they could carry away with them 100 pounds and no more. So the missionaries took stock of what they had. Which clothes did they need and which could be left behind? Which pictures could they bear to part with? Which belongings were too precious to leave? And the day came that they had to leave. They had gone through everything and decided what was precious. The Chinese soldiers asked, "Did you weigh it all?" "Yes." "And is it 100 pounds?" "Yes." "Did you weigh the children?" What does your 100 pounds consist of this year? As you enter the new year, what is it you are weighing as precious? Precious is one of those words that you just don't hear very often, or at least I don't. It's a word that has a depth, a weight to it. I believe precious to be a deeply touching word. But how do you define it? Well, I pulled out my dictionary, and by pulled out my dictionary, I mean I used my computer, and I looked it up. And there were 2 that I found. 1, valuable, costly, expensive, such as gifts like frankincense and gold and myrrh. 2, valued, cherished, treasured, prized, favorite, dear, dearest, beloved. They had a lot more words for this one. Darling, adored, loved, special. Such as the baby that the wise men came to see. This precious baby was God's gift to all of us. It was God's declaration. Jesus' birth was God's declaration that we are precious. The violence, the discord, and the anger that has reverberated throughout this country and this world over the last year have made me question what is precious in my life. And I decided, watching my best friend marry the love of her life, dancing with my goddaughter, Christmas with my family, laughing with my sister, life is precious. People are precious. And it is too easy to hold dear what is valuable and to forget what is valued. We forget that we are valued. Do we have the courage to move into the new year, acknowledging how precious we all are? I have another story to tell you. This story was shared with me by my mother many, many years ago. She read it in a Disciples of Christ magazine. It is a story about a young woman named Beth and a minister named Deborah. Deborah was leading a baptismal class, which would be similar to Aaron's confirmation class, except it is open to all ages who want to be baptized. That is how the disciples baptize. And each week, a homeless woman named Beth would come and sit in the doorway and listen during the class. Now, if you approached Beth, she would shy away and even maybe leave her stoop. But she came every week nonetheless. And eventually, Beth not only made her way inside the door, but began attending the class. And one day she declared she would like to be baptized. The final class came, and Deborah explained that once each person had been brought up from the water, they would be presented to the congregation, who would claim them by saying, "You are a beloved child of God and beautiful to behold." Well, the baptism day came, and Beth emerged from the water and raised up her arms, and the congregation claimed her, saying, "You are a beloved child of God and beautiful to behold." A few weeks later, Deborah got a call. Beth was in the hospital because she had been attacked and raped, and Deborah was the only emergency contact that she could give the doctors. Deborah rushed in immediately and was stopped in her tracks when she got to the doorway because Beth was looking in the mirror and whispering to herself, "You are a beloved child of God and beautiful to behold." Beth was still bruised and bloody. And when Deborah went in and reached out to comfort her, Beth turned away. But when Deborah tried to speak, Beth stopped her, saying, "I am a beloved child of God, and if you come back tomorrow, I will be so beautiful you won't be able to stand it." The scripture says, "He will rescue them from oppression and violence, for precious is their blood in his sight." If only we all had that assurance that Beth had, that we are beloved children of God and beautiful to behold. I had a camp counselor. He used pet names, probably because, like me, he's bad with real names. And he always called me Precious. And until I wrote this sermon, I didn't really understand why that just felt so good. There is something about being called precious that touches your soul. God's children are precious, and we are all the children of God. You are precious, and you are precious, and you are precious. We are all precious people. Thanks be to God.